All right. So Jordan said he needed some laughs. Welcome back, folks. We are on episode number 16, and this one is going to be titled Coronavirus in Ranger School. So should be good. I am one of your hosts, Pete, and I'm joined here again, as always, with Jordan
What's up?
across the U.S. So yeah, you said you wanted some laughs, and right before we started recording, coronavirus in Ranger School. So
I do need some laughs. We've been stressing over this ConAg construction aggregate show that's in Vegas next week. So our product is going to have kind of a presence down there. So there's just a lot of loose ends we're trying to track down, all the while getting new clients set up and account management and just, trying to run a business isn't, I guess, not for the faint of heart to bootstrap things. But anyhow, we could use some laughs about now.
Yeah, well, that's I noticed that throughout my life and throughout my time in the military, it was those times when you're joking and laughing with one another that kind of makes things a little bit easier and a little bit less stressful, I think.
Oh, 100%. So coronavirus is obviously it's a real thing. I get it. People are dying, and you shouldn't laugh about that. But I think we're creating this hysteria in our country right now and around the world. I mean, ultimately, you talk about deaths and the amount of deaths from other things that we don't even talk about, like DUI crashes that cause deaths. This is going to take out more deaths next year than coronavirus ever would. I mean, I guess if it could get worse, but at the rate it's killing even around the world right now, the DUI deaths nationally are going to do more damage, but we don't talk about those things. So it's kind of comical in a sense how we get ourselves panties in a knot over that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, and I'll throw a little bit of nitromethane on that fire that you just started, and I'll say that we're going to murder a lot of unborn children this
you
year.
Went there. You
Yeah,
did. You went straight to the jugular.
Yeah. Hey, like I don't want to hear about it. Like I get it. It's not a good thing as far as coronavirus. It's killing people, whatnot. But you're right that like people don't talk about how many people a day, a week, a year die from just texting and driving.
Overdoses from drugs. I mean, there's so many things. And if you want to call it, that's the thing, they'll call it a disease. Like we're going to treat it as a disease, but yet we won't talk about it on a national, large scale. That stadium isn't happening. So we'll say like we're not going to deal with them as a criminal anymore, but we won't still talk about that disease and how many millions it's killing.
Yeah, I think it's all just part of the system that some of our government officials might be helping along with that to get the news organizations to kind of fan the flames on the coronavirus. So it's
dude, it reminds me. I was one of my third deployment. I was engaged, and I was talking to my wife, and that was back when they had swine flu here.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you're in a different country, you're deployed. Like there's news access, but you're kind of cut off from like a lot of what's happening in America. It's removed. You're removed. You just don't think about it as much. So one day I was talking to her on the phone, and she's like, and our conversation sucked over there because you couldn't talk about anything. I mean, It was like, how's the weather, right? That being said, she was telling me that she's like, hundreds of people are dying from the swine flu. So like I hadn't fact checked anything, and I don't know where she got her facts from, but so I think we had like an op ord or something like an hour later or whatever. So I walk in there and I'm like, my wife just says like hundreds of people are dying of the swine flu. They're like, dude, like 12 people, and they're like 90 years old.
Yeah, their immune system is shot as it is.
Poor honey. So anyways, I tell her all the time now, like, so how many people are dying of the swine flu these days? So if she hears this, I love you, but that was some good comedic relief for the whole squad looking at me like I was an idiot.
Yeah, well, oh my God. Well, you didn't know. Yeah,
people. .org was not around back then, all right?
Yeah, I don't know if Snopes was or not, but I'm not. Yeah, that happens. That happens.
My sister just picked up this position for it's called the Vancouver Clinic, and they have many different specialties, but many different clinics around this area. I think like 10 or 12 or something, but I don't know exactly her title, but she works directly with like the director of infectious disease or whatever for that company.
Mhm.
And then they obviously deal with the state and then local health boards and that kind of stuff. But so she just got hired she'd been in that place for, I think, 5-6 years, but just took that position. And it's a leadership role of sorts. I don't know to like what her scope is, but she jumped into the fire on that one for sure.
Oh my gosh, right? Just full auto right there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely gonna need some medication into this whole situation probably.
yeah. Well, welcome to the Thunderdome, I guess. Like, hey, you signed up. You get ready to play.
Yeah, it's no joke.
Oh man.
But no, another thing too is the idea of, we talk about treating each other with kindness and being empathetic to people, and then until something like this happens, and then people go and buy the copious amounts of hand sanitizer, and now it's on every single platform. You can't buy it anywhere, but it's on eBay. It's on all these different sites. You can buy it for literally 30 to 50 times the amount it would cost off the shelf. Like a bottle this big, like it was like a 4-ounce bottle. We saw it for like $25, and people are buying it for that much amount of money.
Yeah, people are fanning the flames, and they're like, "Sweet, I'm gonna make money off of it," because that's what it is at the end of the day.
Is that capitalism, by the way? Like, is that the true form of capitalism?
I mean, I'm good with it because I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna pay $25 for a little tiny bottle of hand sanitizer. But yeah, hey, make your money. You're just not gonna make it off of me.
And then the cool part about this is why I joke about it. I watched this Ben Shapiro like Q&A session, and some guy was like trying to say every negative thing that happened in our country's history, if it was tied to a dollar, he tried to say it was like slavery. He's like, that's a direct result of capitalism. And that's what he said capitalism created slavery. I think that's a pretty far leap. But anyways, Ben Shapiro slaughtered the question. And so anyways, I was talking about that. So think about this. If a dude goes on and gouges the masses because he happens to get a leg up on the conversation of, hey, people might buy this for $25.
Mm-hmm.
When things go back to homeostasis, I'll never go back to that guy. I'll never buy another thing from him.
No.
So like, yeah, it does work. Like you're a turd for gouging in that situation.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, they did it with the 22 rimfire ammo when that stuff was like super high.
Oh yeah,
Dude, people would wait in lines at all the sporting goods stores, wait in line when it would ship because you would get it at regular price,
mm-hmm.
and then they would turn around and sell it online, via whatever social media that they had. I've seen a lot of them on Facebook, and dude, they were like 3-4 times as much, and people were buying them.
Yeah, it's insane, but ultimately it's a personal decision. Like yesterday, I was at Best Buy, and this lady was trying to create small talk, but we're waiting for our screens to get fixed, and she's like, "Well, I got screwed by Apple again." I'm like, "Oh, what do you mean?" She's like, "Well, I was late for my flight. I wanted a new phone." I'm like, "Oh, was your other one broken?" She goes, "No, I just wanted a new one." So I'm like, "So your phone wasn't broken? You were late for your flight, and you rushed a decision to buy the phone you didn't like." So that she bought like the 512 gigabyte, and she wanted the 256.
Mm-hmm.
So she was late. She made poor decision. Like her decision-making process was broken, yet she got screwed. And I'm like trying to like reason in myself. Like, I don't even understand like where to start with that logic. Like, how do you argue with that?
Take I out of it because that's what it's all about. I mean, it seems like people do not want to accept responsibility or take responsibility for their actions. Like, dude, you were late. Like it'll be okay. I don't know that you're going to need that much space anyways on your phone. What are you just downloading just ungodly amounts of videos and whatnot on your phone? Like what the hell's going on?
Yeah, she's probably a creep. She probably had some videos that probably shouldn't be there, No, the cool part about that whole conversation was she bought the phone she wanted. So she's now got two phones. One was like 256 gigabyte, the other one being the 512. So now she's got two iPhones. I'm like, yeah, you can't fix that brokenness.
No, that's materialistic person right there. Unfortunately,
Exactly.
people love the money, man. Like people that I was talking to my mom about this yesterday about trucks, and my dad bought a newer truck, not a brand new one, but a newer one, and man, it'd be nice to have a new truck, but dude, they are so insanely expensive. Like they're not cheap.
Like 70 grand fully loaded on some, even more on some of those trucks.
Yeah, exactly. Like, no. There's no way. Like, but people are going out and buying them. They'll go buy an $80,000 Raptor. Like, where's your head? Like, I'd love to have one, but dude, that's insane.
Dude, that's almost as much as my mortgage in my house with the interest rates. If you had that, it's like $800-900 a month.
Easy. I mean,
that's insane.
$80,000 truck. You're going to be closer to like a grand.
Yeah, that was the top of my head. I'm not a mathematician, if you will.
I'm not either. But no, and that's people. You see young kids that are teenagers and they have a iPhone 11 Pro, and I'm like, wow, why does that kid need that?
Because I can.
Yeah, because it's a status. It's a status thing, man.
No, that's a good point though. Even with the trucks, like I like those trucks, and if I had the money where it wasn't quite the issue, it's whatever. It's a decision you can make that, but I honestly think half the time it is a status. It's a look at me when I drive. In fact, I feel it sometimes now. Like, I have a smaller truck and I drive to a lot of construction companies, and you'll pull up and like yesterday, it's a nice company and they got, dude, every one of their trucks is $80,000 truck, fully loaded work trucks. And I mean, they do some work stuff with them, but usually it's driving to and from a job site. So you can get a Prius, save the economy.
Not gonna happen.
No, I joke about that, but I think at the end of the day, like we talk about, making money and being like frugal to help our companies prosper. You could do you could buy a Tesla and it could actually pencil out and you can make money off what you're doing potentially down the road. Mm-hmm. But no, we'll get these $80,000-$90,000 trucks and burn through fuel like there's no tomorrow. And I don't need them. I don't need it for my job. Mm-hmm. So yeah. Anyways, you'd get out of your truck and I got the grandpa topper on the back, and it's a half-ton Chevy. It's like parked next to these huge giant lifted trucks, and you get out and you're like, I already got little man syndrome. I don't need any other, additional help there.
Yeah, well, they're also dealing in multi-million-dollar construction companies, so I'm sure that's how they justify all the vehicles and all that stuff. But there's also trucks, electric trucks out there that I can't remember the name of the company right now, but so it'd be like, I guess, a 1,500 size. Mm-hmm. Truck, but man, I want to say it had like a 500 mile range on it.
I saw that. I saw a video of a guy doing like full donuts in that thing.
I think it's cool. I think it's a cool idea.
I agree.
But that thing's still, I think, like 70 or 80 grand.
I do think, though, those are the kind of trucks that you're going to see costs kind of start creeping down as we get more technologies that are more wide scale. And I think, that's the one thing with Elon Musk is he's made some mistakes, but I think he's a pioneer in that space. And he's not necessarily looking for like the accolades necessarily. He's not doing a lot of mass marketing. So he's breaking the mold, the status quo, what the car market is and what it should look like. Even from purchasing, I was talking to Dan when they were out here a while back, and he was saying even purchasing the car, he had like 2 forms he had to fill out. And it was very cut and dry on what he was expected of him and of them. Where most car companies, you go buy a car and you get it financed, it's like 48 pages deep. And honestly, do you know anybody that's read through more than 5 of those pages?
Nope. Never done it.
And I don't know if we can be friends if you did. I don't know. I mean, just saying.
Yeah, well, there is one person I'm sure out there that reads every line on that their contract. But
yeah, that's I guess where I'm going is I do think that you start to see a collective, minds like the Elon Musks coming out now, and then the younger generations are asking questions against status quo of why are we doing things? Why are we allowing the man, so to speak, in a sense, to make us do these things? We want the trucks. We're going to go through the motions. But I think we'll get more companies, coming through the woodwork now with, especially direct to consumer. You're looking at those Caravanas or whatever. Where you can go online, buy a car from your couch, and it delivers to your house. I think that's going to start driving the market down a little bit, and more options are going to be, at our disposal around the country.
So I'm wondering if the dealerships, if they haven't already, caught on to that Carvana thing, and like basically do that for their customers local to them. Something similar like that. I didn't know that the buying process with the Tesla was, that I guess short, or the contract was 2 pages.
Well, I don't know about like the full scope, but I think Dan was saying like to the process he had to go through was like 2 pages. It was very cut and dry. It was like, he understood what was happening, and that does not sound like most purchasing decisions you make with, hefty purchases.
Yeah, I mean those vehicles are not cheap. I priced I think it's the X, which is the SUV,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean just the base was like 80 or 90 grand. That wasn't even after all the Gucci, other stuff that you can put on there, ludicrous mode or something like that, whatever
Dude,
it
that
is.
ludicrous mode is awesome though. If you got one, you got to get it.
Well, yeah, I mean, if I was going to do it, after I added all my options, I was at 120 grand for, yeah, exactly.
And like the ninth time driving that thing, they're like, dude, you got to buy one on the 10th, just so you know. Like, we're gonna cap you.
You only get 9 free rides on the
Yeah.
10th. You got to buy.
They're like, the average ride should be about 30 minutes. They're like, you're always at an hour to hour and 20. We got to start charging rent on this pretty
Yeah,
quick.
yeah. No, I think we'll see more and more of them popping up as time goes on, because now you're seeing a lot more of the charging stations and whatnot around town, and even around here in Columbus, there's quite a few places where they have charging stations. So
Oh, dude, I think it's cool. It's coming up. But we should talk about Ranger School. We had chatted about like getting some laughter going, and you had mentioned a while back, like trying to get some funny Ranger School stories, just embedded into our conversations over time. And we haven't done that enough, I don't think. And those are always, like you said earlier, like the camaraderie you have with dudes when you're in the suck, but you're laughing through the suck together. It's fun, and you actually enjoy it. So I even think the way you process data. So like, if I understand it right, when you're stressed out, your brain creates cortisol, and it helps you suppress memories, right, or oppress, whatever. It's the idea of laughing through that. You actually remember some of that stuff better, and it's like some of my fondest memories were some of the suck factor memories, right? So, anyways, you had mentioned that. I think that's pretty cool idea to jump into a couple laughing Ranger School stories. What do you think?
yeah. I'll start with pre-Ranger. We had a bit of a situation there while we were in the field, so we made it to Coal Range once again, our beloved Coal Range.
Hit the woodbine.
Yeah, and so we were doing a patrol. We were out, at Coal Range doing patrols and whatnot, being graded and this and that and the other. And we did like actions on, and we were exfilling basically, posturing to exfil, and we took off. And I wasn't in a leadership position, but I just remember I'm like, okay, well, we got everybody. And I'm like, yep, got everybody. So we walked back up to Coal Range, and Sergeant Phipps was like, hey, do you guys have everybody? Yeah, we got everybody. And then out comes a guy that I went to basic with. He and I were going to Ranger School together, and out of the woods comes Aaron. So yeah, we got, yeah,
That little guy. Don't worry about that little guy.
yeah. Oh yeah. So
Someone got spanked for that one, or what?
oh man, that was fun. We got to do a lot of cardio there for the next couple of hours because of that. So, but lesson learned there. Yeah.
Dude, that's just as bad as in Florida. We were boat movements, right? In the Zodiacs out in the ocean or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I remember getting off, and we're all dead tired, and I get it. And the dude gets off, and I think he's on the front. I forget the roles and how it all worked, but he forgot his gun on the boat.
Ooh.
So anyways, like midway through, they clearly find it. So they know that someone's missing a gat. So they come out later on. They're like, we're in formation for a second. They pull us out of our, like, whatever we're doing for that patrol. They're all graded positions, and it's the real deal.
Mm-hmm.
So they stop us, and we do, like, they get their flashlights on us, and they're like, all right, who's missing their gun? I'm like, I don't know the dude's name, but he's like next to me. Like, just straight denies it. Like, he's got no gun in his hand. Like, dude, not me.
Oh my God. Oh,
It's special kind of stupid right there, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it's like really, man. Because are you hiding one, or do you have a cloaking device on it, or
What's that movie when he's like, you never go full retard?
oh yeah, that's Tropic Thunder. Never go full retard.
Like, dude, he went to the edge and he just jumped. He did not look back, nothing.
No, well, I'm sure it didn't work out for him.
No, he actually disappeared for a little bit. We don't know where the guy went.
Oh,
He might have saw some Tropic Thunder.
Maybe. Oh my God. Oh my gosh. So the first time I ever watched that movie, I was like, this is the dumbest movie I've ever seen. And I didn't even watch the whole thing. I was just like, this is so retarded.
Did the peyote not come with the movie the first time or what?
It must not have. I didn't get it in the mail, but I think it took like 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, hey, this actually isn't too bad. And now I'm like, it's a great movie.
So the deal is like it's a retarded movie. It's stupid, but if you watch it with the right people or in the right mindset, it can be super funny. So like, my wife doesn't get the military humor quite like I do. So like, I have this shirt that says like I got it from one of the Ranger communities. It says like something like, airborne Rangers, we're gonna come in your house and murder everybody or something.
Mm-hmm.
So I wear that to bed, and she's like, not happening, not happening in my house.
What?
I don't know. I don't get it.
Well,
Yeah.
something about being the example, being the parent, and not having such vulgar things on your shirt.
Yeah, there is something about that. Murdering people is definitely frowned upon in the local primary schools there.
Yeah, well, I think that's not what is wrong with a lot of kids these days, I think, but a lot of kids were never exposed to some things.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's kind of like if you just keep putting padding around your kids, what's going to happen?
No, that's a good point. I think even for my kids with that kind of stuff, I actually talk through it, not maybe in the graphic sense, but like, when they ask questions, I don't necessarily sugarcoat it. I actually give them an answer. Mm-hmm. They're going to get exposed to that stuff. And honestly, it's happening earlier and earlier. There's kindergartners that have phones that go with them to school in their book bag. These kids are accessing information. I watch my kid, and they do have iPads. We let them play on, got some games and some, like YouTube Kids, and we do let them, get on there. But anyways, like, I'll be just kind of doing my thing, and all of a sudden I see my kid talking to Siri, asking for stuff like, "Hey, how do you do this?" And then a video pops up. So like, we got to put a kibosh on that and figure out how to get the next layer of protection on there. But dude, I don't think we can sugarcoat things, information, and hide things from our kids, because we can help shape them now how we want to. But if you wait a week, they're going to ask the same question, but it's not going to be the same response.
Yeah, and unfortunately, if they don't hear it from us, which I'd rather, our daughter hear it from me versus what they hear out there, because that may be some other 10-year-old kid saying, well, it's this, and this, when, it's really not that, because it's coming from the mind of a 10-year-old. So,
well, and not to mention some of the kids that are just, giving some of that information just willingly have been, older siblings or their parents aren't raising them right, and they're just watching whatever they want on the TV. And, they're already so corrupt in a sense. So the information they're, willingly giving out to their peer group should be like, 10 years removed. 1, 2, it's all very corrupt data, if you will. But kids don't understand that. They're not doing fact checks and that kind of stuff. So
no, and they're kids. It's like, imagine what I'll put it lightly, how dumb you were at that age. You're not like you can't you don't have you haven't had all these complex thoughts, complex situations and whatnot. Like you're 10 years old. You're not 60. So
that'll happen.
Yeah.
One question I have is, did you guys get the chow birds in Florida? Or no, Georgia?
No, we got them
like in Mountains Vase.
No, we had them in Florida.
I wonder if I'm confused. I thought we had them in mountains, but I remember like you get on that. So for anybody listening that doesn't have Ranger School history or behind like any interaction with people that have, when you go to certain elements of like Ranger School, from what I gathered from the story anyways, is there was back in the day a helicopter went down in training, and some Ranger students went and helped essentially save the lives of the pilots or the crew chiefs or whatever. So since then, it's been kind of this rite of passage that in Ranger School, at some piece of Ranger School, when you get picked up by a Black Hawk or a helicopter for a mission in Ranger School, they provide you with a shit ton of food and candy and whatever else. And mind you, months up leading to that, you've been starving yourself every day. Or I shouldn't say yourself, they've been starving you.
Yeah.
The man's holding the food from the guy.
Exactly.
So anyways, you go for months with, and you're MREs. If you get food, it's MREs. It's not good food. A lot of preservatives. Your stomach gets acclimated to that type of food. So all of a sudden you go through this mission and you get like 8 minutes to chow down. Like it was like 5 cheeseburgers from like wherever, and some pizza, some Gatorade, some candy bars, and like we're just gorging our faces on this food. And so anyways, you do that and then you go on the mission. Well, your stomach and your body cannot handle that amount of food, one, because it's shrunk, and then two, it's the wrong kind of food right now and it's in copious amounts. But I remember the next couple of days were
pretty rough,
kind of rough and painful. And then it made me think of this, like, I don't know if it's just there or it's just bad planning in general, but you have this patrol basis. So everybody's kind of always laying down or crawling across these for low profile, right? Because you're in training mode where it's supposed to be like a real environment. And you have like the planning area where the leadership kind of plans out the next mission, builds their sand tables and all that kind of crap. And then they have like the medic area, and they have like the comm stuff. And it was the medic, right, that I was like dug the slit trench.
Yep.
So the slit trench was inevitably always by the rest of like the command group. So you think about it, when you're planning your missions and stuff, you're always trying to graze on some food, eat your food, and get things done in the move, because you never have like a meal, right? But that was the time when I remember I was sitting there, feeling bad, like there was people like a foot and a half from me trying to eat their food, plan the mission, and I'm just going to town on this slit trench.
Oh my God.
And I got to thinking, I'm like, it didn't even phase them. Like they're just eating their freaking raviolis, freaking beef stroganoff. Dude, they just eat, no worries, just freaking the other stuff coming out the other side. They're just going to town on their food. Didn't even phase them.
Yeah, I think you become a little desensitized at some point. You're just like, because it's inevitable. It always happens. The slit trench is right next to the command group right there in the patrol base. And you're like, why? Every single time.
I want to know, like, are they, I mean, now that females, I guess, are integrated, correct? Is that true? Or is that just on a couple of class basis?
No, they are 100% with them.
So do they have any modifications, or is it like you're just full blown going to town on that slit trench and the females are right there too?
No, they get a poncho.
Like males and females get ponchos?
I think just females.
Interesting. Standard, double standard. I don't know.
Dude, I don't know. Like,
And I don't want to see that business. Honestly, that's her thing. I don't want to have any interaction with that. I don't even want to think about it. Like, it doesn't exist, right?
Nope. No, but well, the thing is that it's not brought out a lot like it was early on. But I mean, dude, there's women going through every single class up in Ranger School. There's going to be at least one or two of them there, but it's not highly publicized anymore.
And honestly, I don't know where this might sound bad. I don't know where I stand on that whole issue. Like, I don't know if I should even call it an issue, but like that whole, from what I've heard, there's a lot of standards that are kind of bent to allow, the integration and whatnot. But as far as like the big picture, the full integration from male to female in the military, I'm kind of torn on both. Like, I don't know exactly where I stand yet on that, but I don't have enough, like, I guess facts probably and true data to like make a logical, articulate decision about that.
Yeah. And I know early on it was like, to me, it was just purely political is what that whole thing was. Females in Ranger School. Somebody just finally made a big enough stink about it, and, they had to have their way. And so they wanted to prove a point. And so there's a lot of, and I know that there's some females out there that go, meet all the standards they go through, but I mean, it's a very, very, very small percentage. But in the beginning there, most of them were pushed through.
And that's one thing too. Like, I hear some arguments of some guys like, well, in fact, I'll pull out a military. Even my wife will say this, like, honestly, even for firefighters, she's like, if I'm in a building and I need to be carried out of this building, she's like, I don't want some small little female coming in there to try to carry me or something. Like, it's not going to happen. Or like, if a dude went down, how is that female going to grab that dude and help pull him out of there or whatever? I don't know if that holds a lot of weight though, because like, there's like me, dude, I'm a small dude. I had when you get freaking already simmed out of your patrol base and someone gets down and you have to go and pick the dude up and carry him for 100 meters or whatever, like, you're expected to do it. And I was mentally prepared and not physically prepared because I had good leaders that made me push myself to get stronger to be able to do that kind of stuff. But I don't know. There's a lot of nuances to that. That's kind of it's uneasy if it's political for sure.
Yeah. And I mean, I get it. Like you have, like you're talking about the RD sim there. artillery simulation, incoming artillery, blah, blah, blah. And generally they're going to be like, who's the biggest guy here? You're down.
Where's the smallest guy?
Yeah. Yeah. And 100%. And they're like, smallest guy, you have to go pick him up. They're like,
So actually, on that note, though, I remember this. I was thinking about it. I remember many of times because I can't say no. I have an inability to say no, and that's like a bad default of mine. And I remember like they would put the big dude down and it'd be around my vicinity, but there was also like 5 other dudes. For some reason, I couldn't like look the other way and just keep running like a bunch of these douches did. I remember that. Like you were a good dude 10 minutes ago, but now I don't like you because you just act like you didn't see him. Like, oh, I'm tying my shoe and looking the other way, and then you just keep bolting. Heading 180 degrees, 300 meters.
Mm-hmm. You're like, bye. Yeah, exactly.
I'll get his rucksack too. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, I got all of it, guys. Don't worry.
Meanwhile, my chili mac is freaking spilling all over the place trying to pick that up because I'm still starving.
Yeah, right. It doesn't store so well in your cargo pockets, does it? It's just sloshing around.
Meanwhile, you got 8 things tied down by 550 cord trailing behind you.
Yeah, make sure there's no branches anywhere near because you're gonna be in there for about 45 minutes trying to figure out how you got in there.
I wonder why they don't have those pictures and videos and freaking military promos like what are those videos called? Promotion videos or like recruiting videos?
Oh yeah, recruiting. Okay, yeah. Have one where stud or ranger or whatever is lost in the woods and they're walking around like we did in, was it mountains or Florida? I think it was Florida. We had to hold on, like we had to link arms because we had breaks in contact, which means like, because there was like 3 or 4 of us in the squad, like pretty much sleepwalking, and we would just kind of like all walk in, opposite directions like zombies because we're just like asleep. And so they made us do like basically hold each other's hands and walk around in the woods, and then the RI drug us where we needed to go. I'm like, oh my God. Brutal.
We did the same thing. It's kind of funny. I remember some of those moments, and there was some people that were like, Green Beret type or Navy SEAL type. And like, we put a lot of collective pressure on how cool those guys are. But like different schools like Ranger School or, SEER or whatever, like other schools like that deprive you of sleep and food. It's an equalizer. So all of a sudden these big macho dudes are like whipped puppy dogs. Like everybody is a whipped puppy dog, right?
Mm-hmm.
And all of a sudden it's like it takes the masculinity out of the equation. Like this toughness is gone. It's very humbling in a sense. Yeah,
definitely. You'll see that big burly guy, like you said, that he's always walking around talking trash, and then you get into times like that, and it quickly turns, and you're like, wow, you're the big sissy, huh?
Well, dude's got 30-inch biceps. He's got the perfect tattoos. He's got good hair, and dude, look at the dude,
Right. And meanwhile, you have a dude that weighs like 120 pounds and his ruck weighs like 90. Like, dude. Yeah. That's how my ranger buddy in Ranger School was. Dude, he was, I don't know, 5'5", 120 pounds with his uniform on. Like, dude, he was an animal though. He would hump a 240 rounds, everything. He weighs 120 pounds and his ruck had to have been like 90 plus pounds.
No, think of perspective though. That gun weighs like 27.6 pounds, right? Loaded or empty. So no sights, no ammunition. So you talk about little man syndrome, like that's a real thing, but it comes from somewhere.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like almost, the same fire or similar to the same fire of a ginger. Is that what we're
No, because what if you're a ginger and little guy like us? Like it's a real thing.
You have to be careful to not touch them. You have to kind of use the back of your hand, to make sure that they're not on fire because they're ginger and they're short.
Speaking of little guy, ginger and fire, we had a guy, last name of Sawyer. I forget his first name. And he was a tough little cookie, but he literally was called like the demon child. But he was like 30-something years old, I think, going in. Mm-hmm. He was very strong. He was a Spitfire redhead, and he was scary, like a scary little dude. But they called him like the little demon child.
My God, he's like a little Tasmanian devil just running around wrecking shop.
Oh man, it was brutal. He was funny as all get out, though.
But Monkey didn't have that though. I never felt like Monkey had that syndrome.
No, he didn't. He had a way about him. He's got that charismatic ability to be in the suck fest, get through it. But yeah, he carried himself a lot different than most guys like me, if you will.
Yeah, that was one thing I noticed that he was not like, because I had a different squad leader that was same stature, and he, I don't know, had that air about him all the time.
Like the little man syndrome era.
Yeah, he was. I mean, his body, like he was built like a like a freaking tank, like a chiseled Greek god statue. But I don't know, man. It's just that height, vertically challenged. So
Oh, should be a protected class about now. What the heck? I'm not quite midget, but I'm close. Like, what do you do?
I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of like the generations, the X generation, the millennials, the Z's. I'm like, in height wise, like where do you fit in until you get into
speaking of little guys and Monkey, I hope he's listening, or we can get this over to him, at least this piece. We're in is it RIF? Like, what do they do, the boot fittings and stuff? Where you're sitting in these chairs in a circle and they like get you boots to try on and pick your boot. Do you remember that?
Well, they have RFIs and then rapid field initiatives or something like that, but where you'd get boots and stuff before you deploy.
Maybe that's what it was, but I remember it'd be like a warehouse, and you'd sit in all these shelves of boots, but you'd sit like in 10 guys at a time, whatever, in these circles in the chairs. Mm-hmm. And you would tell them your shoe size, and a civilian would go and grab a pair of boots for you, try it on, and they had different kinds and whatnot. But I remembered sitting there trying to tell the guy I need a 6.5. I'd whisper, right? Like didn't want to say it too loud. And I remember Monkey would be like, "Hey, what size did you need?" And he'd be like, "Hey, make sure you get the 6 and try the 5.5 too." So he was very vocal about it. He definitely projected, if you will. I remember sitting there, and then they came back and they didn't fit or didn't have my size. So he'd be like, "Hey, maybe can you try the female size? They'll probably have the female for you."
Oh,
and it was brutal. So they actually brought out female boots, and I mean, at this point in my life, whatever, right? I need a pair of boots, but the problem is they're too narrow. Then, so my foot is, I wear a 7 usually. So they didn't have the 7 in the men's boots. Apparently, that was a kid size. They didn't have that, right? So they didn't have my size. They got the female. Females are too narrow. They're like, man, we don't have enough pairs of boots, but we can give you 10 pairs of socks.
Oh yeah.
I left with a bag of socks.
Oh my gosh. Wah, wah, wah. Thank you, Army.
Oh man.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, and then get this. So we had those winter boots because one of our Afghanistan deployments in winter, they're like, we need to do these mountaineering deployment boots and crap. So they had these big old thick mountaineering boots, but they didn't have my size. And this was at company level.
Mm-hmm.
So I couldn't stand this one supply sergeant we had. He was a douchebag just all around. But anyways, he's like, we don't have your size. And he's like, well, tough luck. And I'm like, well, seriously? That's where we're at. And he's like, well, here, tell you what, I'll give you 2 pairs of boots, go and sell them on eBay, and then go buy your own pair of boots.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds about right. That sounds...
Thank you, taxpayers.
Yeah, fraud, waste, and abuse, no big deal. Hey, those guys do get in... the logisticians get in some hot water because of their shady practices of moving property and it's not very publicized, but it happens quite often, believe it or not.
No, I get it. Speaking of, one more short man story just came to mind that might give someone a giggle somewhere. So I went from Ranger Regiment deployments, fun stuff, and I left there and I started working for the State Patrol. I was going to be a trooper, right? And I've told this community the story, but I didn't tell this story necessarily. So I'm short, 5'7", soaking wet. I'm out there stopping cars. And I worked in the country, stopped a lot of big trucks. So some of these big trucks, and then too, I would always contact on the shoulder side usually because they didn't have wide shoulders, so I hated being in traffic. So I'd go on the ditch side, if you will. So I'm already at a decline from the truck, so I'm stepping in a ditch. And I'm short. There was trucks. They'd open the window, and I'd barely clear the threshold of the window where I can see the guy. And so, anyways, I had full grown 60, 70-year-old dudes that, from outward appearance, were clean cut, good dudes. And you'd give them a ticket and they would literally start yelling at you. And they would say things like, "Are you even old enough to carry that gun?" And they were like serious and they were pissed. "You're too short to be a trooper. Back in my day." And there was truth to that. There was actually a standard for height. There was to be a state trooper in Washington, at least I don't know what it was and what year it stopped, but you had to be X amount of, your height had to be whatever threshold.
Mhm.
Freaking roller coaster ride all of a sudden.
Yeah, you must be this tall to ride this ride. What?
Oh man.
That's just discrimination right there.
I know, dude. I feel discriminated against. I'm hurt for it.
Oh, you pulled over a lot of salty drivers, I guess.
Dude, yeah. If I could take it back, I would take at least 2 of those tickets back, probably at least.
Whatever. I feel like every ticket that I've ever gotten, I've more than deserved. And then
Yeah.
probably a lot more on top of that.
So I've gotten called from at least 4 of the employees that work for our company. No, 5 at least that work for our company. Like they've gotten either pulled over or they're in the process of getting pulled. They're like, "What do I do?" And or like to help them after the fact. Like, "Hey, what would you do in this situation?" And one of the owners of the company said to me recently, he's like, "You might have to start charging for those calls."
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
My wife hears one this last weekend, and the dude is a phenomenal dude. He's actually a firefighter, and I have a lot of respect. He's a good dude, just all around. But he calls and he's talking about it, and I honestly think he kind of got screwed.
Mm-hmm.
That's besides the point. My wife hears the conversation. She's like, "What are you supposed to do? You're no longer a cop." She's like, "If I get pulled over," I was like, "What am I going to do? Call a cop and say I got pulled over for speeding? Were you speeding?" "Well, yeah."
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like,
I don't know.
yeah. I don't get that either. Like what are they going to do? Like, "Oh yeah, you got a hall pass. You're a cop. No big deal. Bye."
Well, and I do think like when you are a cop and you stop, like, think about this: you're a cop and you stop like a sheriff deputy's wife, and you work with these guys all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying you should just give them a free pass on everything, but like if you're going to give a civilian a break, potentially it was like 10 over, 11 over, like you give a break, you would typically cut more slack there because you do work with them continually, and it does create a awkward environment to work in. So it's not right. There is definitely like, there's ethics issues that are at play, but in a real world scenario, it's hard to cut that piece out completely. Or firefighters in a sense, like you're going to calls with them continually day after day. So I don't know. Like, would you give your buddy that works next to you in your same department a ticket? Yeah, it's not happening typically.
Yeah, typically. I mean, and that makes a lot of sense. Like, and I get that. People do intentionally. They're like, "Oh, well, hey, I've got my blue line or Blue Lives Matter or whatever sticker,
Like token sticker.
yeah, my token sticker," and then that way they can go, 85 in a 55.
Oh
So
yeah.
I'm like, no, that's not how that works. But back to blue, okay. People do
Well,
that.
I'll say this though. When I was a brand new trooper, there was a brand new. So he's not brand new to the occupation, but he just got elected for prosecutor
Mhm.
for a county. And he was literally living out of the area, so he was going back and forth on the weekends. And I stopped a car for like 15 over or whatever, nothing crazy. It was like a Saturday afternoon, Sunday afternoon. It was a nice day out, and I open the window. He opens the window up, and it's a Jeep, and I smell alcohol, and I see a shooter, like one of those airplane shooters, whatever, in the middle console.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't arrest him, but I should have. Like honestly, he was a brand new prosecutor. I was a very intimidated trooper, and the way he came off in the conversation, I was at the defense from the entire time, and I didn't even feel like I had the authority to make any kind of decisions there. So it was wrong. Like going back now, like if I was a trooper now, I'd go out arrest the guy, like his first day on the job.
Yeah, I mean, so on. Well, I'll add some comedy to it because my wife and I, we like to watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine,
Mm-hmm.
and so there was a similar situation in the show, and the detective had to make the choice of what to do, and he chose like, yeah, I'm going to arrest this person, even though it may cause me a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
and he made the right decision, and at the end of the episode, his captain was like, you made the right decision. even though it caused a lot of problems, it's still the right decision at the end of the day. Excuse me.
Yeah, it's tough. And the thing is too, like I didn't have at that point, I had, reasonable suspicion to believe the guy had been driving his vehicle. I had reasonable suspicion to believe that he was drinking alcohol based off the odor of, intoxicants emanating from the vehicle, if you will. So I could smell alcohol. I know he's driving. He's in the state of Washington. Like all these factors that I know to be true, I have no, I don't have unequivocal proof that he's been, he's intoxicated, because you can drink and then drive a vehicle. You can't drive a vehicle when you're impaired, right? So that's the thing is like, if he had been an average Joe, I would have asked him if he would minded, to perform some voluntary field sobriety tests, and went through the whole entire process. But literally he intimidated me from the onset of the conversation. So I didn't think through it. And then I sat in the car after he was gone, and I'm like, I immediately regretted the decision. And I realized like what happened. I got put on defense, and I was not thinking in the clear lens, because he started talking about his job and, welcoming me to the area as a trooper. And, I can't wait to work together, all these things. And it was like, trying to hold myself too strongly accountable in the sense that like, you make mistakes, you're going to do that kind of stuff. But it's not always easy.
Yeah, no, and I could see where that's kind of a pickle to be in right there in that kind of situation. You make a decision there, and it may be the right one, it may be the wrong one. Time will tell, but that's life. I mean, we're not mistake free. I make mistakes every single day, of the week, and so it's just normal, man. Being a human.
No, that's true. So you're saying it wasn't because I was short I made the mistake?
No, not because you can't see over the counter.
Oh man,
dude, I was a short kid too for a long time. I was a short kid, and then I just kind of stretched out to 5'9", and depending on what day of the week it is, I might hover 5'8", 5'9", and then I go to the chiropractor, and then I think I'm back at 5'9".
So I'm not that short then. I'm 5'7", so only got a couple inches below you. But I think there's definitely this 5'7" thing below is definitely getting that short little man syndrome thing going.
Oh yeah, my buddy, and he listens to this every now and then. He's in the same boat. He's in the same boat. I think right at 5'7". So we make fun of him all the time. But
I probably just say 5'7", probably actually like 5'5", but
yeah, I just say 5'7".
Sounds way better, dude.
Yeah, like we were so last weekend when we were at Atlanta Supercross, we went back to the hotel and we're watching a movie, and Tom Cruise was on there, and I haven't watched a Tom Cruise movie in I don't know how long, but I know he's like 5'5". He's not 5'7". He's 5'5". And when you watch the movies, it's like he's always as tall or a little bit taller than them by camera angle. I'm like, this dude's short, like a little midget trying to karate chop people. Get out of here.
It cuts him. It's so thin in the hand, it's so small. It just cuts right through the guy. Very effective, if you will.
Yeah. Yeah. But, oh, yeah.
Yeah. You know what the thing is, though? Like, I laugh about this stuff because you can dwell on it. Any situation in life, you can dwell on these situations and say, like, I'm a victim and I deserve this. And you know what? I think this kind of stuff. So let's do this. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Technology is great, but it does have its flaws. Maybe just the internet in Georgia. I don't know. Or Alabama. Yeah. Somewhere.
Alabama. Sure. Same.
Alabama. Anyhow, I was kind of talking about victim mentality a little bit. And I always like to kind of harp on that is, you can always be a victim with anything in life, but, kind of understanding what's going on in your world and, why am I having the thoughts I'm having, and trying to always put to like, if you're a victim, you can't control your situation at all. You can't make a decision to make it better. But if you're, understanding that, hey, there's some parameters you're up against, like, sure, there's some harder things because I'm small or whatever, but that doesn't matter. Like that adversity helps me grow then. Right. But, anyways, this week was fun. Obviously we were like squirrels and cardboard boxes, shiny things were everywhere, but man, it felt good to get a couple of laughs out today. I definitely needed some, therapeutic laugh session, and appreciate, you give me some laughter here and some good conversation.
Of course. I mean, what could go wrong with coronavirus in Ranger School? Quarantine,
sweat trenches, and it's almost the same thing. Like you get all the conditions in Ranger School are way worse than coronavirus from what I'm hearing. Just saying.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what's it going to be in the next 6 months? What's the next outbreak or thing going to be?
Oh, we should start creating manufacturing hand sanitizer, I think. Maybe some essential oils in the mix, potentially.
Oh my gosh. I do not. And see, that's how disconnected I was or am. I didn't know anything about the hand sanitizer. I haven't heard a thing about it.
Maybe the manufacturer Purell is actually down in Alabama and you have better line of sight and access to it. Up here in Washington, we don't have jack.
Well, I don't watch the news, and I particularly don't. I don't know, man. I feel better when I don't get on the news and do all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, sorry, I'm addicted. It's like a soap opera. I can't help it.
So what I've been trying to do is lean more heavily on the fly fishing, and then also the motocross, supercross racing. You know, following that kind of I don't want to say crowd, but some of those podcasts and whatnot. And you know, I enjoy it, and because I'm not just
you're living life and enjoying what's happening, not the negative in it.
Yeah, because that's the thing. You listen to whatever news outlet it is, and it's just like it wears on you. I'm like, oh my God, you can clearly see what the agenda is, and so I just rather not, listen to it. I'd rather listen to something beneficial. So
I hear you for sure. But yeah, anyways, I think we ought to stop. Actually, we talk about a lot of serious topics on this podcast, and I'm glad we do because for many ways, I think we're being relatively authentic and transparent with like what we're going through and some of the things that we're up against. And I know other veterans are as well. And not just veterans, but people in general have a lot of suffering happening. So if we can shed some light and bring some positivity and some positive growth mindset into the world, like to me, then I'm winning in life. I find value in myself when I'm doing that kind of stuff. But having these kind of reset days and just kind of having some fun and laughing together is for audio.
Round 2.
Round 3, maybe. Anyhow, kind of chatting about technology and we get a quick break there. But anyhow, we're talking about all these different Ranger School coronavirus situations. And, coronavirus is serious. People, unfortunately, when death does occur, like, yes, there's seriousness to that tone. But, ultimately, we're creating a lot of hysteria in our country, and that's not needed. So I think some of these issues are real and we should maybe lighten up a little bit, though, on how much we create panic in the process.
Yeah, don't let what you see on social media dictate what you do throughout the day. That shouldn't be that. Social media shouldn't make your decisions for you, your daily decisions. Like that's because that's what happens. People get sucked into that social media circle, and that's where they start to generate that hysteria, and then
shit's going out of control.
Yeah, goat rodeo. Big old goat rodeo.
Oh, it's definitely a goat rodeo. And speaking of goat rodeo, this next weekend. So we're anyway. Yeah. Long story short, we talk about a lot of deep issues on this podcast in general, and rightfully so. I think I find a lot of value knowing that I'm helping somebody else going through something. I've had many people tell me, "Okay, I struggle with that same thing or something close." And hearing someone else be honest and real about it, that, hey, there's other people going through the same battle and struggle in life, it helps you kind of pull through, then get perspective. And then knowing you're not alone in general just helps because sometimes we get isolated on these little islands thinking there are only people dealing with this crap. But anyways, having a week like this to reset, to have some laughter and talk about some, serious but real, funny things.
Yeah.
It was good. It was, it's healthy for the soul, I think.
Oh, yeah. No, I think that we should do it more often, and it helps kind of just change things up a little bit. So even though people will have to listen to us instead of someone else talk, so
that's true. And we should do that as a contest, like the funniest guy and see if we can get some kind of like monthly challenge or contest, and the winner gets like $100 or something.
That would be cool.
Or like the most epic Ranger School story, like have the community vote on it somehow.
Yeah. That would be cool too, because I mean those are in the thousands, hundreds of thousands stories.
Oh yeah, there. Dude, we can start the annals of Ranger School. A book, a movie, a TV series. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here.
To the top.
Oh, that's great. No, anyways, we certainly appreciate if you are listening to this podcast. Being part of this community it's cool knowing we're not alone. And we don't take your time, lightly. And I hope we didn't squander it today. But, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed, unplugging for a moment and then having, some laughter. And to me, like they say, laughter is the best medicine. There's a lot of truth to that.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I enjoy the laughing, and it just makes you feel better at the end of the day. But no, I agree. It's good to have a session like this, talk about just random things and whatnot, and just kind of be goofy, I guess, whatever you want to call it. So we might be serious for the next one. Who knows?
I don't know. Like, we'll see what happens. We don't know.
Yeah, coronavirus is still out there, so we'll see what happens.
Making me freaking nuts. But no, yeah. In all seriousness, tune in next week for a very serious episode.
Yeah. Dun dun dun.
Yeah. Actually, we're in Vegas next week, so we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, I'll be working. Yep.
All right. Well, I'll be working too, but I'll be working in Vegas, so we'll see, how much business we rope in and see how the ConAg show goes. And I've never done one of these, especially with their own product. So it's going to be it'll be an interesting week, but we'll report in, and see how things are going. Maybe get a live clip, give you some Facebook Live action here.
Oh my God, yeah, please do. That would be awesome.
Alrighty. Well, hey, you guys all have a great week. Thanks for tuning in. We always enjoy our time with you guys. So
until next time, folks. Adios.